G'day guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you do, hit the like and subscribe button, and maybe even the notification bell if you don't want to miss these episodes. With that said, sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, let's get right into it. Cheers. Posted by user AmazingMarket5387, titled, I heard my mother-in-law and husband's aunt talking about me, and I can't get over it. I, 20 female, had a consensual arranged marriage to my husband, 23 male, and we have a beautiful 6-month-old boy. My mother, 45, and my mother-in-law, 42, are childhood friends. My mum got married and moved abroad and lost all contact with her best friend. We moved back home in 2018. My mum got into contact with my mother-in-law in 2019, and they started catching up. My mum ended up liking my husband, who was the oldest son, a lot, but it was my mother-in-law who asked for my hand. We are religious, so my husband and I only talked under supervision of parents. And damn, I fell in love. He is smart, good-looking, and has a weird humor that I absolutely love. We got married pretty soon, which no one was expecting, but one thing led to another. The thing about me is that I cannot cook. I hate cooking or even being in the kitchen. I can do every other house chore, even laundry. My mum knew this and never forced me to be in the kitchen. In our culture, women belong in the kitchen, but obviously times are changing. My mum shared her concern on this, and my mother-in-law shrugged it off, saying that I am young and will learn if I wanted to. Emphasis on the wanted to, because throughout my first year of marriage, she said that to everybody who asked if I knew how to cook. My mum still worried because she didn't want my mother-in-law to throw remarks about this, because that is what most mother-in-laws in my country do. I am also a student and also now a mother. It's hard to juggle all of this, which is why I try my best to take it easy on chores. I live with my in-laws and mostly do dishes or serve tea and biscuits to guests, and that is all. We also have a maid for cleaning the house and another maid for laundry. Many times, I have offered to make food for the family, but my mother-in-law always laughs and said that she wasn't that old. I boasted about her to everybody. Literally everybody. She's the kind of mother-in-law that girls in my country dream for. I have always loved her just like my mum, and have treated her as such. We do have some arguments, especially regarding the way that I parent my son. She has some traditional views, whereas I believe in facts. But we have both compromised on many things, and it's been working very well. I have to emphasize on one more thing. That is that my husband is not a huge fan of homemade food. He rarely eats at home and loves having food from different places. He also does his best to have healthy options. Multiple times whenever he comes home, there's no food left for him. There's 7 people in the family and they eat a lot. So if, someday the food is really good, they finish it all up because he comes home late at night. I feel very bad that my husband does not get his share. So I always volunteer to cook, but my husband just shrugs it off like it's something that he's used to and just orders something. I'm sharing this to tell you that I have no obligation to cook because my husband does not mind not having homemade food, therefore there is no rush for me to learn because it's my job to look after him and not the whole family. Back to my mother-in-law, she never told me to cook. The few times I have cooked, it's because I force her to let me. Today she went to my husband's aunt's house. The aunt lives very close to our house and visits us almost every day. She loves my son and always comes to meet him. Today, my son was taking a nap when my mother-in-law left, and when he woke up, I decided to take him there too. I wanted to surprise them, which is why I quietly opened the front door. We live in a very safe neighborhood and always leave our main doors open, and could hear them from the living room. They couldn't see me as I was removing my slippers to enter. Just before I could come into their view, I heard the aunt say when my brother-in-law's fiancé gets married and moves into the family, the fiancé is the aunt's niece, she will handle the family very well. My mother-in-law answered, yeah, OP doesn't know how to do anything. Can't even cook. To which that aunt replied, yes, OP has no idea how to do anything. I literally wanted to turn around and leave. I was completely numb, and my body just moved forward, and they all saw me. The aunts just jumped into excitement and ran to grab my son, whereas my mother-in-law had a very awkward/dumbfounded kind of expression. I wanted to cry. This was exactly what my mother used to fear, and I always said that my mother-in-law would never say such things. I am so devastated to think that she was talking about this behind my back. She did not meet my eye when I was there, and I wanted to cry so bad. I'm trying my best. She knows that I'm young and cannot do so many things at once. She always told me to take my time and is saying such awful things about me behind my back. I keep thinking why she even asked for my hand when she knew all these things. I know it's not a big deal, but it's just all I can think about right now. I'm not even sure if I should talk about this to anybody. Definitely not my mum because she trusts her best friend a lot. I don't even know if sharing this with my husband is okay. In the comments, Here for Mysteries says, "Have you talked to your husband about this?" OP replies, "Not yet. This just happened a few hours ago. It's 1 a.m. and I'm waiting for my husband to be back from work. I can't decide if I should talk to him or not. Please at least tell your mother. I would absolutely want to know if my best friend was talking about my child like that, especially if it was something that I feared she would do. She feels guilty, and that's your in. I'm gonna sound really manipulative here, but that's how you win the game. She saw you saw that she saw you, so there's no point pretending that it didn't happen. What you have to do is go to her and tell her the truth. Let yourself cry. Really play up how lucky you felt to have her and how much you respect her. Tell her how awful you felt knowing that she thinks that you aren't good at anything, that you thought she was proud of you. Make her squirm. If she has any sense of decency, she'll be so ashamed that she'll stop talking shit about you. Then start teaching yourself to cook. If my 7-year-old white dad can make a tasty meal, then I promise you, you can too. Start small." Yeah, look, what they've said here is wrong, OP. You don't deserve to be shit-talked behind your back like that. You do deserve better and more loving and supportive in-laws, especially. But now that you've heard this and you know their true feelings about you, you really only have a few options in this situation. Definitely go tell your husband about this. Go tell your mother about this. Get a group consensus on how to tackle this, how to deal with this confrontation, and then how are you going to move forward in the future and be a better person that is not so prone to being shit-talked. I'm personally of the opinion that even if you don't like cooking, you shouldn't just never learn how to cook and not know how to do it. I feel like that's an unacceptable thing, especially going into motherhood. Are you not going to cook for your child? Is your husband going to be the only one cooking for the child? Is he just going to be getting takeout for you guys the whole time? Like, what's the plan? I do think that your feelings are absolutely valid here, and that, we're going to have to talk this one out and fix this issue. But anyway, I'm curious and keen to see how you resolve this one. And now to the updates. I am so devastated and so disappointed. Maybe I'm overreacting, but I just want to leave and go to my mom. So I stayed up until 2 a.m. to talk to my husband, but he didn't come, so I just went to sleep. As soon as he woke up, I sat him down and burst into tears. I told him everything that I felt and why I felt that way, and he stayed quiet. I told him that I want to learn how to cook, but not instantly because it's not the easiest thing, especially with a 6-month-old that practically does not let me leave him with anybody else. My husband quietly listened. He even said that he didn't mind whether I cooked or not. He said he will never force me to learn, and definitely not until the baby gets older. This made me think that he was understanding me. When I shared how his mother and aunt were talking about me, he simply said, "I don't see what they said wrong." I continued to explain how she could have talked directly to me, but instead said that I don't know how to do anything behind my back. I tried to make him understand that she always told me that I could take my time, yet she expects me to learn it quickly. He just laughed and said that I was overreacting and that all women gossip. I was baffled, tears in my eyes. I left the room. It's not that big of a deal, but it's a shame that my husband didn't understand how stupid I felt after hearing that. I got busy doing chores for my son. My husband has no office today, so he was just chilling. I was washing the dishes when my mother-in-law came and told me to come into my room because she wanted to talk. I got nervous because I'm not a confrontational person. We sat down, and she just kept going on and on about how she wants what is best for me. She kept giving reasons why she said what she said. She kept cutting me off, and all I was trying to say was that she should have shared her thoughts with me and not someone else, but she just wouldn't listen to me. In the end, she complains about how I shouldn't have told my husband about this. She said that I'm trying to cause problems between them. I was speechless. I said that if she could talk about me to someone else, then I could talk about her to my husband. She started getting angry at this point and said that I was being rude and maybe this is my true face. She said she didn't expect me to be such a typical daughter-in-law who causes issues between her husband and his mother. She said, "I cannot believe what I brought into my house," and before I could answer, she left. I cried and cried. When my husband came into the room, he had a worried expression and asked me what happened. I told him that I just want to go home. I'm currently packing my and my baby's stuff so that I can go to my mum's. I have never felt this hurt by someone's behavior. My husband is trying to calm me down, but I just want to leave. I don't know what's going to happen now, but I know for sure that I cannot live with this woman anymore. In the comments, Leather Prestigious says, "Wow, your husband is such a mama's boy. He brushed off your feelings and said that it's just woman's gossip. The worst thing is that he agreed with what they said, that you couldn't do anything. Both husband and mother-in-law sucks. Ugh. OP, this is what your life is going to be like in the future with your spineless husband and two-faced mother-in-law. Better talk to your husband to fix his attitude or leave. No one deserves to be with a stupid husband who doesn't know how to defend his wife. Ew." OP says, "Yes, he is. And that is what hurts me way more than what his mother said. I am at my mum's place now, and I'm going to take a long rest and then decide what needs to be done. They always have to turn it back on you. You're the problem, never them. Very sad. I hope the best for you." OP says, "Exactly. I am so hurt and I told my mum everything. She is also very upset and is going to talk to my mother-in-law. I feel so lost." And now onto the latest updates. So I'm still at my mum's place. It's officially been 2 whole weeks that I've been staying here, and while that may sound like things are not going okay, I'm glad to say that things are so much better than I could have imagined. I came to my mum's place and told her everything. She was furious and wanted to call my mother-in-law, but I got weirdly scared, I don't know why, and told her to wait. I am so bad at confrontations and get very nervous. After 2 days of crying and crying, my mum had had enough and she talked to my mother-in-law. Mother-in-law was very weird and kept trying to change the subject, constantly saying that whatever happened is in the past now. I was so heartbroken. My mum was angry and told her that I would not be going back to that house ever again, and that finally broke my mother-in-law, and she started apologizing for what happened. I know she was only apologizing because she wants to keep a good perception of herself around others. My mother hung up, and that is the last conversation that we've had with my mother-in-law. I'm still beating myself up over how I should have talked to her myself too, but I also think since that they were the ones who got us married, they should handle this too. I don't know. During these days, my husband had visited every day, texts and calls all the time, and has stayed over for 3 days too. I believe that this is his way of showing support. We've started to look for apartments that are affordable and suitable for our small family. We don't have a lot of money, but we are trying, and my parents are also willing to help. I haven't ever felt this happy and loved. Life seems to finally be moving in the right direction. I've realized that marriage should not happen like this. This stupid arranged marriage culture needs to be illegal. I'm lucky to have such a lovely husband, but things could have easily gone wrong. I will never be the mother who wants to rule over my son's life. My son is a human, and I will treat him as such. Now on to the Hot Takes podcast. I like their advice, and am very grateful that they shared my story. However, I don't want to be the bigger person here. I just refuse to be, because while I'm sure that I would be welcomed to that house whenever, these things would not go away. My mother-in-law will be good for a little while, but I'm sure she'll go back to her old ways. They were very kind in understanding me, and I'm so thankful for all the advice in the comments section. I hope my little family stays mine forever. In the comments, Fries Shake with Booty says, "So mother-in-law refused to take any responsibility until it was too late? I understand OP wanting to do the adult thing and talk to her, but this is one of those situations where it's pointless. Mother-in-law wasn't even going to be a mature adult for a peer/former best friend. OP wasn't going to get anything better. I'm glad her husband is on her side. I would cry 0 tears if mother-in-law was shunned or treated a little differently by the community for being two-faced. Every time I think the situation is changing in India, it really hasn't. As someone who has only ever encountered Indian cultures online, I think it's insane. All the things I find are men who are complete mama's boys and batshit crazy malignant mother-in-laws who enjoy tormenting the women they choose for their sons. It doesn't seem like the marriages are for their sons to be married. It seems like the marriages are for bored, old women to have playthings to be evil to. And I know that can't possibly be the majority in the culture because it's illogical, but it's the overwhelming trend that I've seen on Reddit. Yeah, I think that OP being the bigger person in this situation would have just made her a bigger target. The mother-in-law would have just had more ammunition to go with and would have been like, actually, I'm not apologizing. I'm just going to torture you even more. Because if OP's not allowed to talk about her, but she's allowed to say as much shit as she wants about you behind your back and now probably in front of your face, that's never going to be a relationship that is ever okay for you, OP. That's not someone you can trust at all. I wouldn't trust them around the grandchildren after pulling some shit like this. Because who knows what poison they're going to spill into that kid's ears. Are they going to turn everyone against you because it's fun to just mess with you? And your husband acting like a boyfriend here. He didn't just come to live with you at your mum's place. He comes to visit every now and then. Oh, he stayed over for 3 nights. Wow, my husband had a 3-night sleepover after his mum, was a piece of shit to me. Wow, what a cool and supportive husband. I'm glad that he still lives with his mother-in-law after knowing everything that she's done and then forgiving her for that. OP, I see a divorce in your future, that's all I'm gonna say. I see a bad divorce coming. Our next post is by user Sarah Jake 2022, titled, "Am I the asshole for flipping out on my fiance for cancelling all the vegan food options from our wedding food menu behind my back?" So my fiance, 31 male, and I, 25 female, are getting married soon. There wasn't much that we disagreed on during the wedding planning except for food. My family and I are vegans, and there's so many reasons why we choose this lifestyle, and one of them being that we have a history of health issues. My fiancé and his family are the complete opposite. They are hardcore meat eaters, which is fine by me, obviously. However, when deciding on the wedding food menu, I wanted to add 4 to 5 vegan options. My fiancé and his mum objected, saying that it was a waste of money over food that isn't real food. They also argued that this would be offensive for their guests and suggested that my vegan options just be the good old salads and appetizers. His mum wanted cupcakes, lol. I said no because for one, it's me and my family who are paying, and 2, I wanted to make my guests feel welcome and not be treated as second-class citizens by being served salad. My fiancé made a face and said, "Isn't that what vegans eat?" I refused to argue about it and said that it was final. The other day I found out that he had cancelled all the vegan options and took them off the menu completely and behind my back. I was seething. I called him at work, but he kept hanging up on me. I went straight to his workplace and confronted him there and just flipped out on him. He was stunned to see me. He at first said that it was his mum's idea and then told me to go home because I was making a scene at the office. The fight continued at home, and he defended himself by saying that I sort of made him resort to doing this after I kept brushing off his thoughts and inputs and refusing to accommodate his family. But there were plenty of meat options. Why can't I get 4 to 5 vegan options when I'm paying for it? He yelled that it was his wedding too and not my family's. My family said that it was fine and that they'll figure it out and told me to let it go, but I refused. Update. So his mum messaged me earlier trying to get me to listen to what she had to say after I kept ignoring her phone calls. She sent long walls of text just to address what I did at her son's workplace, calling it all kinds of stuff from immature to unhinged. She then went on to explain how she's noticed that me and my family kept acting dismissive of her son's inputs and contributions to the wedding. She said that she noticed my behavior towards him and her entire family and wanted to speak up earlier, but didn't and tried to keep the peace. She then went on to address the food menu issues and denied her involvement in the cancellation of the vegan option, but that didn't mean that she doesn't support her son's decision. Moreover, she thought that it was so responsible of him to make that move because of my continual refusal to see how this stuff is a waste of money. She also pointed out how I kept saying that I paid for it, and said that technically this isn't just my money, it's mine and his because we're getting married. She suggested that I wisen up and get rid of my money, I paid for it mentality. She finally mentioned how bad this whole situation is making me look, and said that she and her son had already offered a number of compromises that I chose to brush off, and decided to make it my weird hill to die on. She said that not only is her son upset, but she and the family are as well after hearing about it, and suggested that I just agree on their compromise and be done with it. This pissed me off beyond belief, and I responded by letting her know that I'm still standing my ground on this, even if I have to call off the whole wedding because of it, because, honestly, this is just ridiculous. It is. My mum and dad, they don't even know what to say anymore. Apparently my fiancé saw my response to her, as he's with her, and is now trying to call me, but right now I'm waiting on him to get home, and see if he's still insisting on the stance that he took. I'll update if there's anything worth adding after we talk. In the comments, Ansela Johnla says, "Not the asshole. Are you sure you want to marry this man and his family? They have no respect at all for you and yours." OP replies, "Frankly, I have no idea why his mum feels so strongly about getting involved. I only included her in the wedding planning because I respect her, but I guess it's like they say, give an inch and they'll take a mile." Info. How many options are there in total? So like 4 to 5 non-vegan and 4 to 5 vegan, meaning 8 to 10 options for meals? Is this a buffet or restaurant reception? Or is this a multi-course menu, and so there's essentially one vegan meal with 4 to 5 courses? Not the asshole because he did this behind your back without talking to you, but I'm wondering why he cares what other people eat. Also, he's the asshole for claiming he doesn't know what vegans eat. You're vegan, he knows that you eat more than salad. OP says, "Aside from the vegan, we have 6 options with meat. His mum picked 1. I'm paying for the whole thing." This whole situation just sounds ridiculous, OP, and it doesn't even sound like you two like each other, and it doesn't sound like he even knows you at all. So my question is, why are you even getting married? This is something that you guys should have talked about peacefully and amicably, and never should have been an argument in the first place. And the fact that he sides with his mum over you should tell you everything that you need to know. I don't think you're an asshole for flipping out at all, but I think you may be an asshole to yourself if you marry into this family. They're just telling you they don't like you or respect you to your face, and will do anything that they can to gaslight you and to beat you down into submission, and you still seemingly want to marry into them. I don't know about all that. And now, onto the update. So, the talk didn't go well. I waited for him to come home so we could have a final conversation about it, but he still insisted on his stance. For more details, his family are a bit on the heavy side. Nothing wrong with that, they're perfectly within their right to decide how to live, but they get easily offended at the mention of the words weight and food. I tried so hard to focus on the issue at hand, but I noticed there was a pattern of this behavior. He said it wasn't true, and this was just an attempt for me to throw past conflicts at him in order to win the current one. He claimed he tried to reason with me about why and how his guests might see these vegan options as offensive, and also said that his family love food and consider it a big deal, and how he didn't want his family to feel like there's certain options that they couldn't touch, and feel that there's a difference in how I treat them versus how I treat my family. He then went on to explain how it's just an event and how my family should just accept what's on the menu, and if they felt inconvenienced, then so what? It's just a one-time thing. They're not gonna die if they had salad and appetizers. He's just such a dickhead. What do you see in this guy, OP? Seriously. What he said wasn't good enough reason for me, because his folks are gonna think and say what they want, but at the end of the day, it is my wedding. And to be honest, realizing that my partner himself thinks it's okay to steamroll my opinions and decisions simply because he's prioritizing others and their opinions over me was really upsetting and not something that could be looked past. Normally, I'm a person of rational discussions and compromises. I'm all about compromises. I'd compromised on much bigger matters than just food, but like people said, it's not about the food anymore, if it ever was. Like, he'd literally lose nothing if he let me have what I wanted, but apparently he was willing to lose it all over this, which is fine by me. I gave him back the ring and called everything off. I just couldn't envision myself living like this any longer, having to walk on eggshells for his family and letting him basically override my opinions and have the final say no matter what. Marriage is about compromise, and here he has nothing to lose, yet chose to do this to me and my family. Mind you, this is my first serious relationship, and I didn't know what to expect. But it's safe to say that he and his mum and family did make it feel like I was taking crazy pills on many, many occasions. So that's that. The last thing he said was that I chose my family over him and ended everything between us for the sake of keeping him happy. Decision's been made, and it's done. I just wanted to give an update to those who wanted it. Thank you so much for your endless stream of advice and support. In the comments, OrumTBH says, ex-fiancé saying OP chose her family over him when he's the one who's been doing that from the start. His family and her family are not the same. His family is normal and related to him. Her family aren't related to him and are weird. One of my favorite silver linings to not having stable housing growing up is that I got to see how a whole lot of different families lived. Every single one of them was kinda weird in some way, but compared to my family, it was nice and normal sorts of weird. Like the old dad and his 2 grown sons who ate dinner together every night in a nice house on a solid wooden table, but using those thick plastic dishes that I've only seen in daycares. The most chill, tidy bunch of bachelors you've ever seen. Nothing else in the house was the child version, so I just had to ask. Turns out the brothers got into so many violent dish-throwing arguments growing up that their dad got sick of cleaning up shattered dishes and replacing them all with something that would survive being hurled across the room. That's a good story. I like that one more than I like the wedding story. Can we have more blessed normality like this one? That's a fun little version of weird. Not, my carnivorous gaggle of flying monkeys hates your vegan, non-meat eating family. And we're gonna steamroll everything that you want to do in your wedding that you're paying for and we have no financial contribution to at all, because this day's about us. Alright? So you pay for it. This day's about us though, screw you. But yeah, I'm glad you got out of there, OP. I think you did the right thing here. You deserve better, and I know you will get better in the future. Just do not talk to that man ever again, please, I swear to God. If you talk to that man, I will be so upset on your behalf. Do not let him back into your life. Anyway guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!